recording. So, hey, thanks for coming, Kayden. So, if you want to introduce yourself.
I'm Kayden Tanita. I'm a first year at University of Regina in the theater arts department for theater acting. I'm also in Do It With Class Theater Company for youth. I was involved in theater in high school, and I take voice lessons and all that business, and I want to pursue that with my career.
Awesome.
And both my parents are teachers, and I was in the Regina Catholic School Division.
Yeah, thanks. And where do your parents teach?
My dad now works for the government. Actually, he got promoted up through the division. My mom is the principal at St. Mary School, and my stepdad actually was a principal in the States and then in Mexico for a year. So,
great.
A lot of teachers in the family.
Thank you. Great. Okay, so it's the first question, which is please describe your current position and is a graduate student, and how your work relates to the arts. So, thank you for that. The next question is, please describe your perception of arts, one more time. Please describe your perception of the arts in our society.
Well, in Saskatchewan, the society, it's not that prominent. It's something on the backboard, and I find that the people who go to these shows, like typically like Globe Theatre or any other theatre, be like the 15 over age bracket, and so it's not something that interests anyone other than the people who are interested in theatre. It's like such as the arts department and the U of R or the high schools, whatever. But it's not, I don't find that it's something that people really care about, as you can tell with the whole Brad Wall arts credit. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. So the next part of the question is, please describe your perception of the arts in education. So as a first-year student now, you can talk about your experience at the university. Maybe talk about, since you're first year, yeah? So,
yeah.
So you recently graduated from high school, so what was your experience, recently in grade school and high school? What was arts in education?
Well, in grade school, I didn't really experience much arts education. The only reason there was arts education is because my mom was the principal of the school I was in, and she does a lot of theater. She's directed a bunch of shows and does a lot of choreography. So I was in the school that I was in. It was big, but no other school would have any sort of thing. And then coming to Regina, I was basically the one pushing for a musical in terms of something artistic, and they do some Christmas show every year, but that was it. And then the drama class was myself, and then other people who aren't there for a drama reason, they're just there for a credit or something. So I feel that it's again not a focused on thing, except for choir. Choir seems somewhat popular in Regina because O'Neill had a huge choir, and yeah, so that was something important. I think a third of the school was in the choir.
Thanks.
Does that answer your question?
I think so, yeah. It's very open to whatever you want to share and how you want to share it. And the follow-up question to that is, please describe your perception of the purpose and the potential of arts in education.
Oh, I think the potential is extreme. Yeah, it's creativity and imagination is a huge thing, even for like little kids, pretending to be someone else. But even getting older in that, public speaking, which is a very generic, that's a base minimum thing that you can get from that. But like the history behind theater is something that I wish I studied, and I think is so important because I don't know anything really about theater, and theater's been huge in history in terms of like kings and queens been going to shows and stuff, but people don't realize how important art is to preserve your own history now, and people take it for granted a lot, especially in schools, because I have never had a good drama class. I wanted to be in drama, and I was in drama, but then the last year I just dropped out because there was no point. I wasn't learning anything, and it was just extremely rudimentary and just essentially played games, and I didn't enjoy that.
Thank you for that. You're kind of leading to the next question, which is totally fine. It's a natural evolution of it. You're welcome to talk a bit more about your experience in the last year of drama, but the question is, please describe your knowledge of or experience with the art education programming that you've trained with. So, talk about your personal experiences training in the arts, and you may talk about your experience in the classroom, or maybe your experiences outside of school, whatever.
well, the contrast between my high school and like education in arts and then the university is huge. I thought I had a somewhat of an understanding of performance, like just being in musicals, like in the community or in Duluth class and at elementary school. So I thought I was fairly, like I had an understanding, and then I came to university and I learned more in the first week than I did in 3 years of, well then pretty much in my entire education of arts ed, which is phenomenal. I think the university has tons of potential for theater and arts ed, but it's dwindling because it's not at its greatest peak right now. So, what was the question again?
No, it was the question was just pretty much asking about you and your experience with arts education.
Yeah.
So maybe you can talk a bit more about your how you got involved with the class and
Sure.
what you learned there, and just your training up to the first week of school.
Sure.
Yeah.
I danced in Estevan since I was in grade 1, and I just continued to dance all through grade 9, and that was my first area of performance, and I've done tap, jazz, ballet, somewhat hip-hop. I've done all my CDTA examinations and all my most of my DAPT examinations, so I've done a lot of that, what I find like useless crap. And then after that, moving to Regina, my mom, or my Uncle Jeff, who does a lot of theater in Regina as well, told me about Do It With Class, and I went and saw a lyric show, or maybe a summer stage show, a musical, that one of my cousins was in, and they were in this Do It With Class, so I auditioned for this, and I got in, and that pretty much opened my world to theater, and I had no really knowledge of that before. And I had taken voice lessons and such before, but like really what a musical was to me was Grease and all those movie musicals that were crappy. So after getting to Do With Class, I realized that theater was my passion and that I want to pursue that. So I went to UVAR and started with a theater degree program, and I hope, well, because of not really feeling like the university will, like getting a BFA, I don't think would help me any more than just going away, and so I'm going to go away because I can do at least that and more in Victoria or Vancouver or Toronto. So I hope not to be here next year, but we'll see.
Okay, thank you. I think you're kind of mentioning this as well, but the question is, if any, please describe the ways in which you draw on your training or your knowledge in your work in the field of arts education.
I draw on my training? Was it?
In what ways do you draw on your training to apply it to arts and education? But are you teaching right now? Are you doing any teaching at all, or?
In Do With Class, when being a senior, I'm in a show, so I'm the only adult in it, and then it's all these other junior kids. So I guess I could talk about that. Yeah. Kids are like. Go ahead.
Please go ahead.
What were we gonna say first?
No. Please go ahead.
I love working. Kids are like, I love kids so much. These kids in the show have completely just changed me, and they're fantastic, and they're like just like complete passion for it as well. Like even little kids that aren't going to go into arts after, but just being kids themselves, they want to be on stage, they want to perform, they want to learn about it, and they love everything. They love the music, they love singing. So I find that I don't know what I'm going to say.
No, it's all good. You know what? You brought up a really neat, interesting point about the generational groups going into it. So you're a senior now, you've been a part of it for a while. This question I asked you was a bit catered to the idea of like people who are teaching or training to be teachers.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're planning to be a performer, but you're very heavily involved in the arts.
I've been considering going into education, but it would be arts education.
But either way, 1 second. And we're back. Sorry, just a computer error there. Okay, so quick thing. What we can do with this question is maybe talk about the fact that you're being trained by arts educators. So we can Do It With Class and in school and whatnot. So maybe you can talk a bit about
Sure.
your teachers, where
Yeah.
they trained, how prepared they were for that.
I find the amount of education in Saskatchewan, like music education or music educators in Saskatchewan, is tremendous. In Estevan, I was training with one of the best vocal coaches in Saskatchewan. She's brilliant. Her name's Arlene LaFrance, and she was in Estevan, and music was huge in Estevan. It's a tiny little town, and so every year we'd have music festival, and there'd be tons of participants in that, and everyone studied voice, and I had the opportunity, when I moved to Duluth class, to work with Rob Urson, who's a genius. And the fact that people are in Saskatchewan and trying to do to maintain arts in Saskatchewan is brilliant. Is fantastic. He's trained in Oberlin. He's been to London. He trained there. He's been working. He's never been from the point that he wanted work, and when he didn't want work, he's always had work. He's never had a break between performances. Anneli Hillstrom, she's the director, I guess, of Do It class, or the head honcho, I guess. She's also brilliant. She worked as a singer, opera singer, and actor, and they're brilliant. She's also fantastic. I've worked with Kelly Handerick, and he's brilliant as well. I've learned so much with him, mainly just in terms of acting, that I didn't even know existed. I can't even fathom things that just blew my mind. So there's a ton of great teachers and arts teachers or theater teachers in Regina, but they don't have. But besides them, they're the only support behind them. There's nothing to push it forward. So it's in sort of like a well-kept secret.
So it sounds like a lot of the people that you worked with and trained with were actually people who are working professionals.
Mm-hmm.
And what about your experience in high school and grade school? Like, how are the teachers there?
My first drama teacher went through probably the arts education. I assume, actually, I'm pretty sure at U of R, and he was an English teacher, but he just so happened to do drama. So what his arts education would essentially be just through English and reading plays and reading novels and reading poetry, whatever English teachers study. I'm not sure, but so he didn't really have any sort of drama background, and that was visible when he taught drama. It was easy I had to do no work to get a 96 in drama, and again, it was me and a bunch of other, I guess, non-theater people, so it was easy for me to do that. And in the performances as well, there was no direction. All the staging was very basic, and it was not in any way educational for me or anyone, and I honestly don't know why people were going in the shows. It blew me away when we had 20 people audition. I didn't understand it, because I wanted to be there because I love to perform, but
Thank you. Rounding out to finishing off, so thank you for your time today. Please share any thoughts or opinions you might have on the needs and gaps and possibilities for teacher education in the arts, and why.
Mm-hmm. I think teachers, arts education students, I'm not even familiar with what they're studying now, but I feel like they need to focus on the different ways of acting and action or performance or of arts, and actually implement in the class, because I've never experienced a time where we've had to act other in an improv situation. I've never had to have a scene and perform it. I've never had to write a script. I've never had to write a song, learn anything about music. I've never had to work on the computer, making any kinds of any of that stuff. I've never painted I've never painted anything in class or any art class. It's been all menial information that could be taught in a grade school level, like grade 7 and 8 level. So I feel like the arts education is very weak in the high school program, and people need to advertise for the arts end of the school as they do for the other sports and the whatever extra or AP math and English classes and stuff, because people don't really hear about it. They need to explain to kids growing up and in high school students what the importance of arts in our culture and in the world and how it's influenced people. They need to know its importance is in a classroom setting in terms of knowledge, because music is extremely important to growth. Um, and kids just don't know anything, I feel, about arts.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So, going back a couple questions, I just want to around a few things
Sure.
that I pulled from your response there. So, just looking at arts education as a whole, and looking at like you were talking about creativity, and applying that to like or learning, what do you think the relevance is of arts education in relation to other fields that you were just talking about, other fields of education?
Being able to think creatively and is a skill that you have to to work with. And if you start at a young age, I'm sure it's much easier and think quickly. But once you get to a business or your employment, being creative is something that's going to put you far ahead of everyone else. If you're creative, you can have better business plan. You can have better way to for your business, your income, and again, public speaking and stuff, creativity. But being able to use your imagination and create something that appeals to people is like one of the greatest skills I think you can have. I don't know what in any life situation that being creative can be detrimental. It's going to help you, I think, be a more intellectual person and make you more like aware of the world, I guess.
Thank you. So it sounds like you're saying that, just to clarify a bit, that being creative is important, and it works. It's in tandem with the other fields and other disciplines, and it's just a bit more. It's important that way. Okay. So there's that approach to arts education and the idea of like what skills you learn about being creative, thinking outside the box, or public speaking, or all these ways to interact. In your other response, you're talking very specifically about skills in drama and theater and performance, right? Scene studies and whatnot. And the only thing you experienced was things like improv games. So looking at this last question about needs and gaps and possibilities, how about you just talk a bit about your personal experience and think about, you said earlier, what you learned at university in your first week was more than you'd learned up until this point. So how prepared were you for university after coming through these programs? But then also for what prepared you, for what prepared you or how prepared you were, how much of that was like from high school and how much of that was your dance background, your music, and your everything else? Yeah.
Well, in terms of memorization, I did a lot of music festival and poetry just through my own personal, my family's push, like you should do a poem every year at music festival or a couple poems. So that helped my memorization, so I can memorize script somewhat easily. But my only knowledge of performance was through with class and whatever musical my mom was doing at elementary school. So grades 6, 7, 8, I did 3 musicals. So going through youth class, I learned a ton about performance and acting and just performing, just not like acting, but performing, like how to do like funny comedy, like haha, So that just was my introduction. And then getting to university and my first class with Michelle Serrata and Kelly Hendrick, I learned the things I hadn't even thought about, that about the character and like what he was just doing before he was entering the stage, or when you're thinking, what do people do when they think, places when you're looking out, and when you speak you look around and you place those items. So I'm thinking about what I'm gonna have for lunch over there. I'm thinking about this person over here. I'm talking to that person there. That's not really there, but it's just these fascinating things that I feel like nothing in high school that I've done. If I didn't have my high school arts education, I would be at no greater advantage or disadvantage. If I didn't have to do with class, I would be lost. I don't think I would have had any introduction. I would have been way over my head, and I probably would have dropped out after the first semester.
So, thank you. So you're saying that a lot of your arts education, your personal training, you got the majority of it outside of the classroom with these other programs.
Oh, for sure. It'd be with just my own
Awesome.
love for performing that would have given me that education.
Thank you. Do you? We're at a close now, but thanks so much. Do you have any other questions or comments you want to throw in there?
No, I don't think so. I think
that
touched on everything.
And if you think of anything, please really
sure.
please again. So just to clarify on video that we've already talked about what the research is about, and if you're interested, we'll get you the research results in about a year or so, or whenever they get finished.
Sure.
So thank you so much for your time. Thanks.
All right, thanks.